Yo, what's up everyone? Dan coming back at you with another Ask Dan Anything question here. Today, our question comes from a client of mine named Graham. And essentially, it comes from a session we had, but the question was, how do I express myself when I'm confused? Or how do I express myself when I don't know what I'm going to say, or I don't know how they're going to react, and I've got no plan, I don't know where this is going. Now, this is a huge one that comes up for people all the time, and it's one of the biggest barriers to genuine, confident, authentic connections and interactions. I like to use the analogy of a restaurant. Now, most people, when they talk, they are like a restaurant serving a meal. The meal gets carefully prepared and cooked perfectly, and then it's brought out by a waiter and delivered as this final package. Something that can't be argued against, something that controls the taste buds and the experience of the customer. And that's how most people speak. They carefully plan and plot and finish and polish the thought they have in their mind. Sometimes they might even take days to do this. I know you've all sat there once looking over a text message, or an email, spending hours getting it right. And people do this in real life too. They'll go quiet and they'll think of a good answer, think of a good thing, and then say it. And so they only ever deliver these finished meals. And a lot of people who engage in this kind of behavior really struggle in certain situations, particularly conflicts and particularly anything that is emotionally charged and unpredictable. So people who think this way, who think they need to get everything perfectly prepared and delivered and need to be in control when they speak, they struggle, especially in confrontation, and they find it difficult to speak against somebody who's quick-witted and quick to come up with something to say. So this is all about control. And at the heart of this issue, underneath that desire for control, is a fear of confusion. Confusion, a fear of being in a place where you don't know what's going to happen, you're unprepared, you're uncontrolled. So I want to talk about how you can express yourself in those moments rather than waiting to finish the meal, get it prepared, and then deliver it perfectly. Sticking within that analogy, expressing confusion is like taking someone from their table out to the back of the kitchen before the cooking's even begun and having the sous chef show them all the raw ingredients you'll be using. Letting them know that you don't even have a menu ready yet. You just have these ingredients, the kitchen's a mess, there's a fire on the stove, there's sauce spilt all over the floor, somebody hasn't done the dishes, it's a fucking nightmare in there, and letting them see this so that the two of you can clean up the mess together and come to a conclusion together. So many people think independence means coming to the conclusion yourself, getting the thought prepared and your argument prepared and delivered all by yourself. Whereas real connection and interaction comes from doing it together, presenting a mess that they help you clean up, while they present their mess and you help them clean it up, and together you come to conclusions and understandings. So expressing confusion is about showing them that mess. Now, what does this look like in practical application? It can be as simple as saying, I don't know what I'm trying to say. So you might be about to express yourself and you feel that confusion, you feel the sense of being out of control, of being under pressure to win, of not knowing what's going on, this kind of frightened fight or flight response. You can actually talk about that mess that's going on inside you rather than trying to have a coherent conversation. So for example, let's say I'm having a confrontation with someone and they're really quick-witted and I feel intimidated and threatened by that. I can say this. I can say, look man, I see that we need to argue these points out, but you're so quick-witted and so articulate that I'm struggling to keep up. I don't know what to say, even though I know I have some strong feelings about this. That's expressing confusion. You could feel really attracted to somebody on a date and you're waiting to think of the perfect way to say it. Well, expressing confusion would be saying, I know I'm attracted to you and I'm trying to think of the perfect way to say it, but I can't right now. That would be expressing confusion. Expressing confusion is like starting a sentence with, look, I don't know what I'm trying to say right now, but XYZ. Allowing words to come out of your mouth with no end in mind. without knowing how they're going to end up. Now, it's critical to understand that for you to be able to do this, you have to let go of control. You have to give yourself permission to make a mess, to not end up making a coherent point, to put the person off with your weird confusion, to allow them to have an emotional reaction that you can't handle right now. Now, to give yourself this permission, what I like to do is I give myself permission to bail and clean up whenever I feel like it. So I can start making a mess with someone, start speaking my mind without knowing where I'm going with it, start talking about various emotional feelings I'm having without knowing why I'm having them or what they're even about, and giving myself full permission at any point in time to stop doing that and clean up. Either leave or try to make sense of it with the person before I move on. Because you're already good at this. You spend your whole life preparing perfect meals, so you know how to clean up a mess by yourself. What we're doing is simply allowing someone in earlier in this process. So while you're busy thinking of something good to say, you actually tell them that. I'm busy thinking of something good to say to you right now. And rather than waiting 3 days for me to come up with an answer, why don't we figure it out together? That's expressing confusion. You can do this by text message, email, you can do it in person. Let them see that you're in process rather than only showing them the finished product, and you'll connect a lot deeper. For more on this, there's a lecture in my 3X Confidence and Authenticity Masterclass program about creating meaningful connections. I'll chuck a link down to that in the comments here. And so if you want to go deeper, you can check that out. Of course, you can email me your questions, dan@brojo.co.nz. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.